Hi, I'm Kari, co-host of the Lit Society podcast and avid reader just like you. And this week's episode is brought to you by our 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal. It's amazing, you guys. Let's talk about it. Sometimes I find it hard to remember my favorite quotes or plot points after finishing a book. So I wanted a journal to help me with that. And I wanted it to not just be functional, but to also be fun, contain interactive elements, and motivate me to read more and better. I couldn't find one, and so I created that exact journal just for you and me. The 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal is the best journal for any reader or wannabe reader. This isn't some downloadable cookie cutter PDF. It is a custom journal I created page by page. Use it to track books you're reading in real time. You can use it to easily summarize plots and write down detailed reviews. Keep track of your favorite series. Save unforgettable quotes that you want to recall later. And even challenge yourself with a diversity reading challenge. Plus, there's a fun book bingo game I designed to be shared with your favorite book club or with friends who love reading like we do. This journal makes the perfect gift for your favorite reader or yourself. I created each page to help us stay inspired and get the most out of every book we read. To grab your 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal, visit our Etsy shop or Patreon page. And let's make 2025 our best reading year ever. Hello, Team Literati. This is Kari.
And this is Alexis.
And you're listening to Lit Society, a show about books and drama. And this is the end of our 2024 season, our fifth season. The wrap up. This has been a great year for rap. And we're going to continue that tradition by letting you know which books we loved, which we hated. You know, Alexis loved to hate some books. And, just shooting the breeze with our BFFs.
Okay.
Also, a quick shout out to everyone over there on Patreon. You've been recommending books for us to read. Thank you, because sometimes the well is dry and I can't think of anything. Mm-hmm. And it's just been fun over there. We have 3 chats where I was messaging somebody at 5 a.m. this morning, just shooting a breeze. You know, we besties over there. You also get full episodes over there. So be sure to sign up for our Patreon. There is a free tier. Brokey. All right.
I'm going to come over there and join that chat one day. I don't think I qualify, though.
Okay. You know, Alexis in the free tier. Yeah, she wanted the brokies. So we have been recording in, I think, 5 countries. So thank you for that, Alexis. I'm still in Chicago. It's freezing. Yeah. But just to Team Literati, I want to say thank you. Thank you to Alexis. This has been a very grounding show for me. It's something, you got to do every week. And reading a book every week. If it wasn't for this show, I'm not sure I would. Especially after you read a bad one.
Yeah, I just said that to you the other day because I feel the exact same way. I really love reading books with you. And believe it, we've been reading books longer than this 5 years. So I love that. Mm-hmm. And being able to do it together makes it more fun. And like you said, if I wasn't doing it with the podcast, I don't know if I could make it as much of a priority in my life.
Well put. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, we'll always be readers, but things fill up your time. So thank you, Team Literati. Thank you to all of our listeners for encouraging us to read a book every week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for supporting us.
It's been a blast these 5 years, hasn't it?
Yes, indeed. Well, without further ado, let's move on to Society Says. That's the portion of the show, listeners, where we share your comments with the rest of Team Literati. Alexis, are there any lit comments from our listeners that you'd like to share this week?
Yeah, actually, I found one on Instagram, and this is from Mariam from Oman. And she says, "Hi, I just wanted to share how much your podcast means to me. It inspired me to start a book club at my uni. I always wanted to do so and never had enough courage for it because I'm an introvert. This book club is thriving. At the beginning of every meeting, I tell everyone about your podcast and how it brought us all together. I appreciate both of you for the incredible books and conversations you give us every episode. This is Miriam from Oman. Thank you so much,
Thank
Miriam.
you.
We love that.
Yes.
We love reading. So we love it when people put together a book club and talk about books.
Yeah.
Especially the books that we're covering on the show, too, and include our podcast as a bonus.
Right. Thank you so much for that. And that's
Yeah.
actually how our podcast started. We had a book club with some of our friends and neighbors, and no one was reading but us. So we said, you know what? Let's take this to the airwaves.
I mean, no one was reading. No one was reading but us. I mean, we were so committed to reading. We would be finishing the book up until we got to the
we
meetup.
were taking it seriously.
Mm-hmm. We was like, okay, I got 2 more pages
and folks
left.
was like, where the wine at? I ain't read that book. Somebody said, I don't even like reading.
Kari, do you have a litty comment you want to share with us tonight?
I do. This is from Apple Podcasts, and it's from Bravers23. They say, terrific. Podcasts are about chemistry, which can't be faked. The vibe here is perfect, sweet, smart, funny, honest, joyful, engaged. 5 stars. Thank you, Bravers.
Thank you.
We do have great chemistry. Now,
do we?
If you like to leave a comment for our show, do so. You know, where can they leave that comment, Alexis? I'm tired. I just got in from work.
Listen. You can leave comments on Instagram. You can leave them on Facebook. We go out there like once a year. You can leave them on
I don't go over there
Apple
no more.
Podcasts. You can leave them on Audible. I mean,
Spotify.
Spotify.
Did you say that already?
I didn't say Spotify. Hey, leave them. We're going to find them.
We read every single one. So thank you all for sharing a bit of your finite time with us.
Yes.
We appreciate it. So let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get into our least favorite books, and maybe something special, a surprise for Alexis.
What?
And we're back. Alexis, we read 1 million books this season. Out of those, let's just discuss some we weren't, crushing on too much. I'm going to say my least favorite books of the season. What are you calling them?
Listen, I hate that best and worst kind of stuff. So I decided to name mine's hard to put down and put it down. It's okay.
So we're going to pick a few from your Put It Down, It's Okay list. Alexis hates definitive statements. So I have my least favorite. You going to do you. I'm going to do me. These are books I hated. But you start with books that we read this season you think, can definitely be put down. What's at the top of your list? Are these in order, by the way, for you?
It's in no particular order, but I will start with Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. Had to make it to the top of the list. I mean, we did it. We put in a second effort and it still didn't win me over. This is on the list because, as you know, it's too many side stories. I don't love it.
They go nowhere. And so many people, I realized I said a lot of people were S-wording themselves, and that means something else. No, guys, I meant unaliving themselves. That book is full of people unaliving themselves. So you can deduce what the S word is in that case. And it is not handled delicately. It happens to characters you really don't even know that well. And it just seems so irresponsible. And we love that series, right, Alexis?
Yeah, we do. There's other books in the series that we truly enjoy. And I don't know, did the movie come out? I can't wait to see the movie.
Yeah, or miniseries, whatever it's going to be, starring Pierce Brosnan and all our lovely oldies except Judi Dench, because she says she can't really remember scripts that well lately, which made me sad. But everybody else, Helen Mirren. I want to hear Glorilla say Helen Mirren. I want to hear me say it. Anyway, I agree.
So that's my book. So
Yeah,
who's at your list? Who's on your list?
So that was Alexis's number one most hated book of the season. My number one most hated book of the season, drum roll please, The Marsh King's Daughter by Karen Dion. What was that?
Well, I can confirm that is the second one on my list.
Oh, man.
So, it wasn't, I didn't love it. Well, you know what? I was so confused by it.
And the premise was beautiful. Now you have a daughter who's the child of not a serial killer, of a murderer.
A murderer?
That breaks free from his confinement from prison.
Yes,
and that's within the first few pages. So I'm not giving anything away if you haven't read it or haven't listened to that episode. Okay. What happens next? Oh boy, a snooze fest.
I have American Prometheus on my list. The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer. The first half of this book was so boring to me. It was so boring that I could put it down and it would be okay. It's really a textbook for school, and I'm not in school, and I don't want to do it. So
listen, we love nonfic and we love biographies, but this book was very pedantic in the beginning in a way that was very, it separated you from any type of story it was trying to tell and put you... and just put you in, like you said, a classroom and not an engaging teacher. Think of the worst teacher you ever had. They might know something, but they're not teaching it to you.
However, it's just information in their head.
We have gone back to that book when we talk about society's determination to end itself.
I'm on my third. What's your second book, Kari?
So Finlay Donovan is Killing It, Killed Me. And that's by Cosimano. That book was terrible. That was one of the worst plots I've ever digested. And I understand that it was meant to be like a comedy. And I did chuckle. I did. But I was so invested in, again, the very well thought out, I thought, premise of the book, where you have this single mom whose ex-husband is just a jerk. And she's just trying to find a way to make ends meet and keep her kids alive. But then what it descended to was, I didn't think, well thought out. And it wasn't so much as funny as disappointing. Also, there is a woman of color in it. And just a couple comments really made me uninterested in the protagonist altogether. I said this during the episode, but there's a part where the Latina babysitter, the protagonist finds out that the Latina babysitter's nephew or cousin or someone stole a car. And so the protagonist thinks, well, he should be committing these murders, not me. And it's not said in jest. It's not ironic. It's like, she for real.
Oh, I don't remember. I remember that. I do remember that.
It's very strange. But anyway, Finlay Donovan is killing it. No thanks. However, I love the beginning of that book, the first few pages so much. I will continue the series and give it another try. Alexis, did you have another book you just would not go back to from the season?
Losing the Signal. The Untold Story of the Extraordinary Rise and Spectacular Fall of Blackberry by Jackie McNish.
You brought 50 old smartphones to the episode and went through them one by one with us.
Absolutely.
So why didn't you like Losing the Signal?
The story was interesting, but I didn't like how it was told. If I remember correctly, it was told in parallel tracks. So they would jump back to Lazaridis and then they would jump to Basilier. And I didn't like that. Okay. And it was really technical. And I didn't like that either.
Okay.
It's on my list of ones I do not have to return to or add to my book collection. So there's that.
Well, I want you to guess my next one. And all I'm going to say is vanilla.
Vanilla? Perfect. Falling?
Yes, Falling by TJ Newman. What was that?
It's on my list too. It's my
so many
number 5.
stereotypes and just leaning so heavily into them. Now, we have read books that have problematic characters or even plot situations.
Yeah.
And we can be hypocritical where if we think your book is good, we'll be like, oh yeah, that happened. But let's talk about the plot though.
It did happen, but okay.
It's about 29 N-words in here, but listen. Did you get to chapter 16? So
Exactly.
yeah, like, but this book was dumbfounding.
It was predictable.
The Middle Eastern people did it.
Mm-hmm.
The one black lady wears Victoria's Secret champagne and vanilla, a scent inherited from her ancestors, with her tight coils. How do you
Crazy.
describe your hair, Alexis? Do you have tight coils?
I don't know. I don't generally describe it.
You don't. You know what? Maybe that's regional. I ain't gonna put too much sauce on it. That's fine. Some people got tight coils. Anyway, so that's that.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna move ahead and just do my last two.
Yeah.
All Systems Red by Martha Wells.
You don't love that.
People love the Murderbot series, and I again will continue it. But this first installment was not complete. Did the robot make me chuckle? Yes. Yes.
He was so relatable.
But it wasn't a finished story, in my humble opinion. And then The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. What was Kafka on? I mean, I get it. You saying a lot and a little. Yeah, nah. I mean, it was heavy-handed, and also, I don't know. It didn't touch me.
Okay.
I didn't think about it later. Those are the books I hated. What about you?
I added one more.
Okay.
And again, it's Put It Down. It's
yeah,
okay.
the books you hated the most in the world. Go ahead.
No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy.
And that's going to be the end of our show this week. Thank you all for listening. Sorry it had to come to the end, but I don't play about Cormac.
It's
Cormac and cheese is what I call him. And the meal ain't complete unless you got some Cormac.
It gets
What's your problem exactly?
It gets an honorable mention. Okay. It gets an honorable mention for the violence that I cannot pick
We
that back
decided
up.
it wasn't violent. It was intense.
It wasn't. Is that no?
That's what we said. We said it wasn't violent.
Is that what we said?
This is the woman who said Jurassic Park. Oh, and we looked it up because we was on the phone yesterday. I said Jurassic Park is a horror. And you said, no, it's not. I said they was eating them while they were alive. The people were alive being eaten. And it described it graphically. You said, that's fantasy. We looked it up. It said horror.
It's sci-fi. That's the modern wording. And I'll tell you what, though, it has some really great quotes in it, though. So, I mean, I like it, but I just can't pick it back up again. It's okay to put it down. I can't be like out here saying stuff is the worst. What is that?
So she gonna take one of the best books, best Westerns ever written and say, you can put it down. Now listen, if it's about violence, we not with that. So I understand. That's fine. As someone who's read that book 3 times, I completely understand. I can't wait to get off of this car and read it again. But I get it. Because if you think it's everybody is like me with Jurassic Park, I think that's just the most violent book ever written.
Seriously?
You don't agree.
No.
You think the book where if you don't even pay attention, you won't even know it's a shootout. You think that book is violent.
No,
that's fine. That's fine. That's you. That's what you feel.
That's absolutely not the case. But it gotta go on the list. Put it down.
He looked at the glass window and it shattered. That was the only way he knew that a bullet had struck his shoulder. I said, talk about writing. But anyway, that's fine. This is your list. These are the books you hated.
No, books to put down. It's okay.
Yeah, should I make Alexis read The Road? Someone's laughing. Okay, Alexis, go ahead. What else is on your list?
That's it for mine. It's okay to put it down.
Okay, then let's talk about the books we love. This is what we really want to do because we ain't haters.
We not. Right.
We want to love on books. So, Alexis, please, what were some of your favorite books from this season?
Again, in no particular order, but let me say, this was a short season. If you recall, we had a nice little break in there.
Thank you, because I was wondering why we took a summer vacation. We do that now. No regrets.
Overall, we had some really, really great books this season, so I found it difficult to select.
Books you loved, some of the best books you've ever read in your life. Okay,
it's James by Percival Everett.
Yes.
I really, really love that book. The book inspired me to read Huck Finn, which I hope we will discuss soon. And I thought it was cool how Percival took James, not Jim, and made him a full person. Now, I've never read Huck Finn, but I'm in the process of reading it. But I just enjoyed his character. The book had funny things, heartwarming things, and it had things that made you feel sad because they were talking about enslavement. But I just really enjoyed the book. There was so much in it, and I could read it again. It's not that long. And one of the quotes I have from that book is, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning.
So James is also on my list, and we're not approaching it from, I'm so happy he finally infused life into this character that was so one-dimensional. Because like she said, we ain't never read Huck Finn. Yeah. She making me read it. Otherwise, I don't feel I need to. You definitely don't need to be familiar with with that text to glean anything from James. This book, like you said, is just a great epic adventure from a perspective that felt so original. Even though it's talking about slavery, and it's talking about a lot of stuff. It's talking about fatherhood. It's talking about parenthood, what it means to be free, what it means to be enslaved. There are layers in every plot point, every scene of that book. Everything means something. And just that, to take that care and for it to not feel heavy-handed, he's not forcing a message down my throat when I read it. It's just enjoyable. And going back and reading certain vignettes from that book, I get something different out of it every time. So yeah, James by Percival Everett is also on my list. Yeah. I also have All My Sons by Arthur Miller.
Oh,
that is a play.
I have it too. Yes.
And we was playing, but ain't nothing funny. That book, that plot is heavy. There's a lot to think about capitalism, what matters, and who we're accountable to. Yeah. So that's a play you said you buy a ticket every time you see it's playing or being performed. Yep. I see why. I'll definitely be looking for it going forward. What else is on your list? Notes of Grief by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I think this book is on my list because, one, I was going through a time of grief when I read this book, having just lost my father, and the way she describes grief. I love that. And it described it in a way that I don't feel like I could put towards myself. And so I really appreciated that about the book. There's a couple of quotes from the book that I wanted to read. And the first one is, "For the rest of my life, I will live with my hands outstretched for things that are no longer there." And I love that one. And then the second one is, "How is it that the world keeps going, breathing in and out unchanged, while in my soul there is a permanent scattering?" So I just, that book just really touched my heart, and I just felt really close to it. And it was, the timing of it was comforting. So yeah, it was a very comforting book. And it's weird to say you enjoyed a book about grief, but I really enjoyed it. It was written beautifully, and I felt someone was commiserating with feelings that I didn't know how to put into words. So really well done. Yeah. So how about you? What's your next book? No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. I have never read anything written like that. I said, Western. I asked you. I said, what's a Western? Some say this book is a Western. I don't even know what that means. To me, Western means it's from like the development of the states as we know them today. It's Wild West shootout. Native Americans are bad. Cowboys are good. I don't want to read that. That's not what that was, but it is classified as a Western.
Yeah, absolutely.
That book, every character means something. Yeah. And
do they though?
Oh, what is wrong with why are you turning against this book? Why do you feel, what do you mean?
What about the man he gunned down in the store? Oh, he didn't gun him down.
So
that's just, I was traumatized by that. Yes, he let him go.
I don't know who this is in front of me today, but that was one of your favorite scenes. You found it captivating. Don't do that.
It was indeed captivating. It was.
And Shagur's issue perhaps was complacency. The fact that the man inherited the business is what really angered him. I know that's none of his business.
His business.
But you must understand that Shagur was a man of principle, but his principles were his own. Alexa, stop it. That is one of the best books ever written. Oh, definitely in the style of a Western.
Yeah.
And I won't hear of this. Put it down. I won't. I won't.
You can put it down. It's okay.
10 toes and 10 fingers. I'm putting my fingers on the floor behind this book.
Okay.
However, if you don't want any gun to be mentioned ever, even metaphorically, even poetically, then don't read it. I'm not saying you should read it, but you should. Okay. Next, The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. That is a book I purposely did not finish at least 3 times because I didn't want to leave. Once she said that man got hit so hard his tooth landed in Milwaukee, something like that, I said, I don't want to leave these people. I never want to be done with this book. The plot was only secondary to me, to the characters and the dialogue. James McBride writes groups and communities in a way that just feels like a sitcom, like your favorite sitcom. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean just very good writing. You watch sitcoms from the 80s and 90s and the jokes are like this. The writing, they put so much effort into every line, and that's how he writes his stories. And I just had a good time being with them people in the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. Yeah. So
they were fun.
What about you, girl?
Flowers of the Killer Moon.
Mm-hmm. So Killers of the Flower Moon, but Flowers of the Killer. The moon is killing me. It's fine. Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Okay, that's the book.
Yeah.
Listen.
Flowers of the Killer Moon.
I like the way David Grann writes. We read The Wager, and I don't think I fully appreciated it.
Oh, I thought you did at the time.
I don't remember, but I don't think I... Did I? I can't remember. But I don't think I fully appreciate it. He is a very good writer. I love his writing style. It was a very good retelling of a real life account of the Osage tribe murders and the formation of the FBI. It was informative. It did the exact opposite that
American Prometheus did. You can take facts and still make them palatable. You can tell a story with any group of facts that are related to each other if you're a great writer. And I agree with you. I think David just is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so good. I thought I didn't like it, but The Wager was good. It was a good book.
Yeah, we said it was, we was really clinging to gender roles. I remember saying, this is a boy book and I love it because it's about pirates and espionage and shipwreck.
Yeah, it was.
The Wager is great.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
great.
is Killers of the Flower Moon. I will say Killers of the Flower Moon, I probably won't read again, even though I own it on hardback, just because whenever we read about that level of evil existing out in the world, it's just disturbing to the core for me, as it should be. Mm-hmm. So it's not something I would just, pick up and read all the time. Whereas The Wager, I feel so distant from that event.
Yeah.
Although the conclusion of that event, there is still a common thread to today.
So crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, y'all read The Wager.
Loving it. I do remember.
The Wager is good. Yeah, my husband read it. And then when he finished the last page, I was just looking at him like this. What'd you think? And he goes, yeah, it was good. So now, I moved out.
Not the same energy.
So the final book of my top 5 is actually Keke Palmer's Master of Me, The Secret to Controlling Your Narrative. And this is why. There may be a little bit of recency bias. We just finished that book. It was the final book of the season, of course, being a celebrity memoir, as is our tradition. But I will say, we have read self-help books where I cannot use anything in this book. We sometimes bring up Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, which people love, and we have referenced it. Yeah. We can be very referential for books we don't like. But we felt like that was a weak woman's manifesto. I'm saying the quiet parts out loud. Sorry. But then Get Good with Money by Tiffany Aliche. That book felt like, hey, I don't want to waste your time. I ain't going to hold you. This is what you need to do according to what I've been through. This is what I did, and I think it worked for you. Yeah. And here's some educated people to back up this. Now, Keke Palmer's Master of Me is not a self-help book. As far as whatever genre it's under, that's not the top one, but it is definitely written in a way where it's to give you advice based on her experience, no matter what industry you're in. It's about taking your skills so you can be like Keke, keep a bag Palmer, and keep you some dignity in whatever role you're working and not conflate the job you do with the person you are.
Yeah.
So that is a book I would reread again and take notes in. It's not preachy. She's not saying she knows everything and can tell you, bless you with her wisdom. She is very, I thought, honestly, now she is very media trained. So she's giving you a little of her business, but only a little. And enough. It's enough.
Not salacious at all.
No. She's like, let's stick to the subject. Once I become the joke, we have lost the plot. So let's stick to the what matters. And I was rolling with it. I really enjoyed that book. I enjoyed reading it. It's short and it's useful.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it. Yeah. So what about you? What's your last book?
Master of Me by Keke Palmer.
What? We really liked that book.
Yeah, it was a really good book. And in fact, I've had an opportunity to go listen to some of her other interviews, and it just complements the book that much more.
She handles herself so
definitely.
Well.
She handles herself well.
You cannot put baby in a corner. Keke will not let you box her into any situation. You could be like, Keke, we saw you on CCTV slapping that man till he fell asleep. And she would be like, now listen, well, and then 5 minutes later, you don't even remember what you brought up. She's very good with her words. Very well trained.
So we had a lot of great books, and I just want to mention just some of the other good ones.
Great. I have honorable mentions also. Please go ahead.
The Underground Railroad was really good.
Colson Whitehead, don't miss.
Yeah. Small Things Like These.
A movie
Claire
coming
Keegan.
soon with Cillian Murphy.
And I Will Always Love A Raisin in the Sun. So there were so many. The season was short because we had that break in there, but it was also filled with so many good books. I say more good books than you can put them down books.
She had more books she loved than she did she hated. Listen, I'm trying to translate. So my honorable mentions, I'll go in order from bottom to top. Okay. And again, these didn't make the top 5, but it's just maybe the way I felt in the moment. They could easily take the place of one of those top 5.
Yeah.
So at the bottom of that list, King Lear, I've read it a million times, but I just think it's Shakespeare's best work, and I could just read it over and over again. I really love the themes. It's a bit, I just love it. The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, for reasons we have already mentioned.
Yeah.
Yinka, Where's Your Husband by Lizzie Blackburn. And that's because I felt that protagonist was the most relatable one I've ever encountered.
Okay.
And I just thought the story was fun. It was like an episode again of your favorite sitcom from the 90s, like a Girlfriends or something.
Yeah.
I don't even know when that came out. But the point is, it was great, and it didn't try to put the protagonist in a forced relationship or a forced romantic relationship. That really wasn't the point. It was about her finding her voice and learning to respectfully stand up to her family. And again, I emphasize respectfully because we don't encounter that a lot. Usually books be like, well, if your mama trying to force you to get married or is always bringing up why you don't have a husband, cut her off.
That's life today, right?
Everybody don't want to cut their mama off. So I like the protagonist that had to come to a compromise, even when she really shouldn't have had to. And she found a way to act with grace.
Yeah.
And then I also have Losing the Signal, the untold story behind the extraordinary rise and spectacular fall of BlackBerry by Jackie McNish and Sean Sokoff. That's a long title.
It is. Why, though? Why?
So I understand what you were saying. It's like throwing facts at you and just word salad in the beginning, but I thought it was easy to follow, even though even the technical points, it wasn't trying to impress you with all it knew or what the owners of BlackBerry, the developer of it, knew. He was very technically minded. But I actually thought it presented this information without the learning curve, especially if you were there. So I remember BlackBerry dominating. I remember it being kept for security purposes by key members of upper management in some corporations. I remember nothing being able to touch some of the things it did. And then one day the iPhone came out and that all went away. And I think in itself, Losing the Signal is just a great lesson and not putting too much value on your work, even when your work is your passion, because it cannot be your purpose. And that's hard to say and hear because for a lot of people, what they do is their purpose, especially if it's something you are developing yourself. But we live in a country where once you get too big, they trying to sell Chrome, y'all. Google Chrome. Google can't have Chrome no more. And I get it. Google is huge. I understand. But how fair is that?
Wow.
Y'all want Alta Vista?
What?
Y'all asking Jeeves? Didn't think so. Why should I have to sell? But it don't matter. It's just, my point is, go ahead. Go ahead, because maybe you're going to condense.
No, I wasn't. I was going to say that's not fair.
You can't say that, right? There's a bigger picture, society, economics, blah, blah, blah. That ain't fair. I made it too. But yeah, so I thought Losing the Signal was just a great example of why tying your purpose to your passion, just because it's your passion, why that just cannot be.
Cannot be. Okay.
And then lastly,
there's more, because that's why I said there's too many. But Carrie just picked them up and continued on. So this season had great books. It did. It just did. That's it.
And I think I forgot that because I've read way more books than we've covered, and those were bad books. And I'm mad at them. But we didn't cover those. Yeah. So American Prometheus by Kai Bird is good, y'all. Listen, it's hard to get through. It is pedantic. It is very detail oriented to a fault. But once you finally digest it, it gives you a lot to chew on. Listen, every steak ain't gonna cut like butter. But sometimes it seasons so well once you get it in your mouth. And if you're a vegetarian, just roll with it. Calm down. You know what I'm trying to say.
Y'all. She has the words, okay? Send them on. Continue.
That is a book I'll never stop thinking about, and I would definitely read again. Again, that's the story of Oppenheimer. just a unique figure in history.
So again, the ones on my book, there are some on my book that are sure.
On your book, on your list?
On my list.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I just can't say they're the worst books, because they can just be put down and it would be okay. Because
yes, we understand.
The quality of the writing in American Prometheus, again, the first part was boring. Losing the signal. I appreciate it, very technical, but I had to put some books on the list, and I feel like we had really
Can
good
I pause
season.
You?
Yeah.
Alexis, Losing the Signal starts with this man who has put his whole life behind a company that he did not develop, because he is not the partner with the tech savvy. But he started from the beginning with this company, trying to use it as a way to reinforce his own existence. When he first put a foot in the door, it wasn't about the product, it was about him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like with one of the partners, the partner. That wasn't, and you know their names. I forgot their names.
Lazaridis and Basilier.
So Lazaridis was very tech-minded. He developed the technology with his partners. Once Basilier came in, he wanted to be a big shot. And he hadn't had what he felt was his opportunity, his just due. He was arrogant, abrasive. People found him acidic. No one could tolerate him. So when he found this company with some potential, he was a great marketer, and he wanted this company to do well so that he would do well in life, which arguably he has, actually.
Yeah, he did.
He enters a room where the technology is failing. Everyone has the tech, and it is failing in this moment, and he needs to sell it. I think that's a great way to start.
He does.
It's not very detail heavy. It's really making you feel something right away. We've all been in rooms and had presentations that we were nervous about. And when people aren't making eye contact with you and you feel like you're losing the room. Well, he felt this on a global scale in that moment. And I thought that was really well done, but that's fine.
Again,
I was thinking trying to convince you was good.
You don't have to convince me. This is the part I am saying. I needed to pick books. We had really good books. There's only 2 books on my list that are just really I feel strongly about. The rest I feel so because they were good books. And
I understand you don't want to put Finlay Donovan on the same list as American Prometheus. Like that feels illegal. So I understand. Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
I thought we could.
What?
Why? You nervous?
I'm gonna exit
a game. That's right. We will conclude this episode with our favorite thing, putting Alexis on the spot. And the game we're playing today is one you've played before. Who said that? Who said that? Alexis, I'm going to give you a quote.
Oh.
If you name the book it's from, you get 10 points. If you name the character that made the statement, you get 29 points.
29.
If you reach 100 points, you win $1 million. Just Alexis, no one else. Mind your business. Don't worry about if she's going to get it.
Wow.
Alexis, are you ready for round 1?
No.
Here we go. How does a man decide in what order to abandon his life?
No Country for Old Men.
One of your favorites.
It's a quote I wrote down. I wrote it down so I could say it, and I didn't say it.
And who said it?
It was the older guy, the sheriff. I don't remember his name.
Sheriff Bell?
Okay, Sheriff Bell.
I'll take your word for it because I forgot to write down who said it. That's right. No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. You're on a roll. Here we go. Round 2. You need to define who you are. Otherwise, people will happily do it for you. Hint, this is your pick.
This
book, this was your pick.
Keke Palmer.
but I get it.
Can I get a second guess then?
You sure can.
James.
That's what I would have guessed, but that's also wrong. But I could see it.
Notes on Grief.
So you're going to be shocked.
Dang.
That quote is from Yinka, Where Is Your Husband? By Lizzie Blackburn.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm.
Dami Lola
Okay.
Blackburn, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Round 3.
How many are there?
7.
Oh.
You need to focus on the money. Here we go.
Big money. Big money.
The only way to know how long you are lost in the darkness is to be saved from it.
What?
The only way to know how long you are lost in the darkness is to be saved from it.
Can I have a hint, please?
Ooh. It became a television series. Nope, you didn't watch it. Me neither.
The Underground Railroad.
Yes, I was going to say you love this author.
Mm-hmm. I do love it. Mm-hmm.
That is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. You do not get that point.
What? Right. I won my millions.
Them's the rules. Round 4. You ready? Here we go.
Up. Mm-hmm.
Belief has nothing to do with truth.
Ooh.
And that's my favorite quote of the season, by the way. Belief has nothing to do with truth.
Oh, who said
What book is
that?
that from? Who said that? Who said that?
That's my favorite line. Who said that? Belief has nothing to do with truth. Killers of the Flower Moon.
That is James by Percival Everett. What's your problem today? No, it's
So
really
rude.
hard when you're on the other
So
side.
rude.
And that's my favorite quote from the season of any book.
Thank you for acknowledging that.
Yes, it's very hard on the other side.
Thank
okay?
you.
Happy?
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
It's
am.
not an excuse.
Okay.
So yes, belief has nothing to do with truth. Round 5.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little long, so
Okay.
brace yourself. In battle, in forest, at the precipice, in the mountains, on the dark great sea, in the midst of javelins and arrows, in sleep, in confusion, in the depths of shame, the good deeds a man has done before defend him.
King Lear.
No? Man, Alexis, I really want to give you some money today, but that's from American Prometheus by Kai Bird.
That was my second
Now,
guess.
this
It was
is the
a
book, y'all,
swap.
she said was full of details and she hated it. You hear that poetry? You can't please some people.
I wanted to say that first, but I said, no. I think that's King Lear, the leader.
I didn't say no douse disgusting.
I know. I thought you were trying to throw me off.
Okay, round 6.
Oh,
Here we go.
man.
Yeah, it's not looking good. You ain't gonna get no money, but you can still play for fun. Here we go. But American history is not meant to be pretty. It is plain, it is simple, it is strong and truthful, full of blood. Again, but American history is not meant to be pretty. It is plain, it is simple, it is strong and truthful, full of blood.
Oh, you already did No Country for Old Men. It's not them. So, American
Wow.
history. American history.
Can you take a guess so these good people can go home?
Oh. Bye, audience. Really? Okay. It's full of blood. Killers of the Flower Moon.
That's what I would say. But we would both be wrong in that case because it's from the Heaven and Earth grocery store by James
man.
McBride. Yeah, I know.
Come on, I got the last one.
Final round, and you do.
I do. I think.
I know you're no worse than most men, but I thought you were better. I never saw you as a man. I saw you as my father. Ooh.
All my sons.
Who's Daniel Day-Lewis? Oh, yes. Ding, ding, ding. All My Sons by Arthur Miller. Well done, Alexis.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
that has been
Season 5.
Who said that? And that's been season 5. Yes. So, in conclusion, Alexis, as we look ahead to season 6, is there anything you'd like to tease or talk about that you're going to be publishing on our Patreon? Maybe next week. Maybe the show don't stop for Patreon members. Maybe.
Come on, Patreon.
Actually, that's a real shady way to do business. It does not stop. Let me speak in definite sense. We do have more episodes coming exclusively on Patreon, and they're going to be different. We're not just reviewing books. We're doing something fun with visual effects.
Ooh.
And celebrities. If you consider Alexis a celebrity, and I do.
So I mentioned it a little bit earlier. We're going to be talking about Huck Finn. I'm going to do a little research and see how we can look at that a little differently, or see what the issues people have with that book. We're going to talk about those.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have 2 scripts on my plate, 2 essays to that sounds really boring. Let me rewrite this real quick.
Very boring.
It sounds like work. I have 2 exciting new projects being released on Patreon exclusively this month. So stay tuned for those. They involve topical discussions related to books, but also news and things. So it's going to be like something you ain't never heard, and you're going to be so happy you heard it. Shareable content. Very, very interesting as the research has been. I just throw words out.
How enticing.
Oh, my goodness. And do not forget that for readers, by readers, we have created a reading journal just for you.
Journal.
And this episode is sponsored by the Lit Society 2025 Reading Journal.
Woohoo!
So we'll throw it over to our advertisers. Hi, I'm Kari, co-host of the Lit Society podcast and avid reader just like you. And this week's episode is brought to you by our 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal. It's amazing, you guys. Let's talk about it. Sometimes I find it hard to remember my favorite quotes or plot points after finishing a book. So I wanted a journal to help me with that. And I wanted it to not just be functional, but to also be fun, contain interactive elements, and motivate me to read more and better. I couldn't find one, and so I created that exact journal just for you and me. The 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal is the best journal for any reader or wannabe reader. This isn't some downloadable cookie cutter PDF. It is a custom journal I created page by page. Use it to track books you're reading in real time. You can use it to easily summarize plots and write down detailed reviews. Keep track of your favorite series. Save unforgettable quotes that you want to recall later. And even challenge yourself with a diversity reading challenge. Plus, there's a fun book bingo game I designed to be shared with your favorite book club or with friends who love reading like we do. This journal makes the perfect gift for your favorite reader or yourself. I created each page to help us stay inspired and get the most out of every book we read. To grab your 2025 Lit Society Reading Journal, visit our Etsy shop or Patreon page. And let's make 2025 our best reading year ever. And we're back. Well, that's been the season 5. We got some fun things going on, and if you want to be a part of it, make sure you go on over to Patreon.
Oh, look at that accent. Okay.
That's offensive, isn't it? Well, anything else you want to share or say, or any gratitude, or nothing, huh?
The gratitude is all there. I appreciate our listeners for supporting us for these 5 years. Those who've joined us over on Patreon. Continue to buy our merch.
That merch ain't even for sale right now, but we about to open up the store, so she right.
They continue to buy our merch. They have over the years. I appreciate them.
Yeah, that's true. Someone said they got all the sweatshirts, all the latest models.
Yeah, so there. People have supported us in many ways, and that's what I'd like to say I appreciate the most.
Yeah, and don't forget that right now for even the lowest paid tier, you get merch after 3 months. We are like really spoiling our listeners over on Patreon. I'm not going to plug Patreon anymore, but I just want to let you know it's some fun things happening over there. Folks is getting stuff to their homes.
Join us. I'm going to try to come out of the Brokey Club too. Mm-hmm.
Brokey. All right then. Well, I also want to say thank you to Team Literati and for all our listeners, both passive and passionate. We appreciate each and every one of you, and we can't wait to see you. If you're on Patreon, I was supposed to mention it. See you later, friend. We're going to talk. You know how we do. But if you're not, no pressure. We'll see you next year. Like them
Season
astronauts.
6.
When the astronauts come home, that's when you're going to see us again. Is that really what you want?
Come
you
on,
think
y'all.
about it.
Join us in the Patreon Valley.
All right. And if you love what you've heard, be sure to tell a friend about Lit Society. Visit litsocietypod.com to sign up for our amazing email newsletter.
Oh.
I don't even know what accent that was. And until we see you again, be sure to read something. In unison
something.
now.
Oh,
Read something.